Hello everyone, it is Shadowswolf, and I'm here to give you guys a rundown of what looks like it was on the patch notes for the PTR, at least for Warriors. Gonna go through all the specs and what the changes are per spec. Now I'm gonna premise this right now. This is the PTR, so I have no idea how true these actually are to what we're gonna be seeing on Tuesday. Because as of time of recording, this is Sunday night, January 8th, 2017. So we'll have to see in 2 days, but let's just jump into things, shall we? All three specs say this up at the top. Effect number 2, apply aura, modifies damage/healing done, value 5%, and then several affected spells. Zero clue what that means. I don't know if it's a 5% buff, nerf, zero clue, but we shall see. Now, I don't know why this is in arms when it's a prot thing. Yeah, because I don't believe arms has shield wall or demoralizing shout or last stand for that fact. But anyway, anger management for protection. Every 10 rage going from just increasing the or decreasing the cooldown. Every 10 rage you spend on reduce the remaining cooldown of battle cry, and last protection. It's also last stand, shield wall, and demoralizing shout by 1 second. So, yeah, that's pretty good for prop warriors. That means that in total, last stand, shield wall, demoralizing shout, and battle cry, 4 cooldowns that prop warriors use on a regular basis, get their get those cooldowns reduced whenever they have anger management talented. That's pretty good. I don't necessarily have it talented myself. I've got Ravager, but yeah, that's different story. I off tank sometimes, maybe when needed, but that's still very good. I'm not gonna slight that buff in any way, shape, or form. The rest appear to be all arms. So fervor of battle. The old was 30% increased damage to your primary target with Whirlwind. New is 45%. So 15 damage buff onto Fervor of Battle. So instead of Whirlwind doing 30% more damage to your primary target, i.e. whoever you have targeted, it now does 45% more damage versus all those around you. In for the kill, Mortal Strike now refunds 30 rage up from 20 when you use it against targets below 20%. So execute range, you're always getting back 30 rage regardless. So you can, Mortal Strike, execute, so on and so forth. Ravager damage is getting a buff, going from 270% attack power to 335 or 337.5% attack power, which is a pretty big buff. That's like 67.5%. That's pretty big. Rend, instead of it doing a full, instead of doing a big ticking damage, it's doing a big front load damage, going from 540% ticking damage of your attack power down to 108% attack power per tick, but it's doing 559% of your attack power instantly as soon as you apply it, which is pretty good. And the cost has been changed from 15 rage down to 10. So it got, I want to say, kind of a buff in that aspect. 5 less rage to do a ton of damage up front, and then have a small dot ticking afterwards. Shockwave, and this isn't a big change at all. The stun duration for Shockwave went from 4 seconds to 3. So 1 whole second, which won't really make or break, your Mythic 15 plus that apparently all arms warriors get invited to. Anyway, my bias shows there. But yeah, that 1 second really shouldn't make a difference. And otherwise it still plays the same. Sweeping Strikes gets a buff. Instead of just doing 1 additional target, it's now up to 2. Titanic Might, instead of just reducing the cooldown of Colossus Smash, increasing the duration of Colossus Smash by 16 seconds and reducing the effectiveness by 20%, it just goes ahead and increases the duration of Colossus Smash by 16 seconds. So that's a 20%, I could see just about every Arms Warrior running with this now. I really can, because the whole negative side of it is gone now. And that's less often you have to Colossus Smash, which is, in my opinion, good. That's less often you're worrying about RNG kind of screwing you over if you don't get it, procced. So that's good. And Trauma, the bleed is going up from 20% up to 25%. So Slam and Shield Whirlwind now causes target to bleed 25% additional damage over 6 seconds. Multiple uses still accumulate increased damage. So that's pretty good. So overall it looks like Arms is getting a buff. Specialization, Hamstrings going from 5% physical damage up to 105% physical damage. And still reduces the movement speed by 15 seconds. Which is good. So that's getting a buff. I'm not going to be going over any of the honor talents for any of the specs. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link, in an annotation somewhere on the screen for you guys to check out all of the changes for all of the classes. So be my guest to go ahead and do that. Now for Fury, like I said, Effect Aura, modifies damage / healing done by 5%. No idea what that means. 0. Talents for Fury. Dragon Roar. The damage isn't getting a nerf, or the upfront damage it does isn't getting a nerf, but the damage increase we get is going down from 20% to 16%. So overall, 4% damage nerf to Fury Warriors just in general. Because Dragon Roar is part of our rotation, pretty much. Like I charge in Dragon Roar, pop all of my cooldowns after Dragon Roar. So, Battle Cry and Avatar, and then Odin's Fury. And now it's going to be doing 4% less damage because Blizzard wants Dragon Roar nerfed for some reason. I don't know why. It's been kind of the same way ever since they introduced it. They should leave well enough alone. We need a buff, not a nerf. Anyway, moving on. Fresh Meat. Bloodthirst now has a 60% chance to increase critical chance on targets over 80% health, up from 40%, so 20% buff to that. Frothing Berserker, instead of giving you 10% increased damage, is giving you 15% increased damage, and instead of giving you movement speed. Those of you that don't know, Frothing Berserker, whenever you reach 100 rage, your damage is increased by now 15%. Which, I'm rarely at 100 rage, so that really doesn't... I'm rarely at 100 rage knowingly. There are times where I get, unlucky and I'm at 100 rage for 2 seconds. Ooh. Outburst. Berserker Rage now causes you to enrage, which is alright, and reduces the cooldown of Berserker Rage by 15 seconds. So now Berserker Rage is on a 15-second cooldown if you go ahead and talent into Outburst. Reckless Abandon. Battle Cry now lasts 2 seconds longer and generates 100 rage. So I could see Reckless Abandon and Frothing Berserker being, hand in hand on that. But again, I don't use Reckless Abandon. I don't know any warrior that does. Again, Shockwave, the same nerf as it got for Prot. War Machine, what looks like giving you a buff for the movement speed and haste. Killing the target grants you 30% haste and movement speed for going up from 10 seconds to 15 seconds. So good for while you're leveling and questing. And Wrecking Ball increases your attacks have a chance to increase the next damage of your next whirlwind by going up from 200% to 250%. So our AoE is going to be even better. Which, you got to take that over Avatar. I don't know. It's good for 5-mans, I believe. I don't use it because I mainly raid. I don't try to do 5-mans if I can avoid it. I do my 2, 3... I do my 5-mans every day, my random heroics, but that's mainly a heroic or mythic plus scenario that you'd have Wrecking Ball. Prot, like I said, for the anger management that they had up in arms. I don't know why. Best served cold. Generates generates 2 additional rage for each target hit for revenge, up to deals 5% more damage per target hit, up to 5. So, if you got 5 targets on you, revenge is hitting that much harder, instead of generating a lot more rage. And it's the replace of ultimatum. Or it looks like they're moving ultimatum, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, they're moving ultimatum. Booming voice, demoralizing shout also grants you going up from 50 rage to 60 rage. And increase the damage you deal to the affected targets going up from 20% to 25%. So you get more rage and you do more damage, which is good. So yeah, that's a very good thing. Crackling thunder, increase the damage radius, or increase the radius of thunderclap by going from 100% to 50%, so a slight nerf on thunderclap, but not a huge one. Just an area nerf. Devastate is getting changed. Your auto attacks deal an Devastator, sorry. Your auto attacks deal an additional, looks like 278 times something. Yeah, it says min-max. I'm not going to go into all of that. Generates 5 rage and have a 30% chance to reset the remaining cooldown of Shield Slam. I believe that is for Devastate, as it would imply. Or a change on Devastate. I'm not entirely sure. All I know is it's a new talent. And it's in the tier 5 spot now in place of Best Served Cold. Heavy repercussions. Shield Slam extends the duration of shield block going down from 1.5 seconds to 1 second. And still increases the damage of Shield Slam by an additional 30%. So it's getting a slight nerf of half a second, which can make a difference. Into the fray, you gain 3% haste for each enemy within, going up from 10 yards to 15 yards, up to 5 enemies. So a little nerf or a little buff there. Never surrender. Your ignore pain will ignore up to going from 75 to 100% more damage based on your missing health. So if you're missing 80% of your health, that's a big buff for you. That's 25% buff for Never Surrender. The same buff that went to Arms for Revenger applies for Prot. Except for Prot, instead they increase the parry chance from 30% to 35%. So a little more mitigation when you pop Ravager, which is good. Safeguard. Intercept friendly target now causes going up from 20 to 30% of their damage taken will transfer to you for 6 seconds. So a buff on that of 10% is pretty good. 10% damage, going 10% more is pretty good on that. Increase their survivability by that much. Same nerf for Shockwave, going from 4 seconds down to a 3 second. Again, not a huge deal. Ultimatum, looks like they removed the, they removed something. Your Shield Slam, critical strikes cause your next focus rage to cost no rage. It says something was removed. I don't see it. I guess it got removed as a talent? Yeah, I guess that got removed as a talent and is just a passive. Vengeance. Ignore pain reduces the cost of your next focus rage. It went from focus rage to revenge by 35%. And revenge reduced the cost of your next ignore pain by 35%. So ignore pain and revenge go hand in hand now, which is pretty good. I am a stout believer that ignore pain and the previous version of it were like two of the best things that could have happened to warriors, and I stand by it. Warbringer. Charge now deals 108% of attack power to all enemies within 5 yards of the target, and stuns them until cancelled. So instead of it stunning them for a second and a half, apparently the stun is until cancelled, which I don't understand. I guess until the charge gets cancelled or you charge to them. So that's pretty good in a way, I guess. Yeah, that means that I'm not entirely sure what that means. All I want to say is I guess it's a mini stun. I would assume it's a mini stun now. So I'm gonna go based off of that Warbringer makes charge a mini stun now instead of a full stun, instead of a 1.5 second stun. And Warlord's Challenge reduce the cooldown of Berserker Rage by 15 seconds. And while Berserker Rage is active, you can use Taunt with no cooldown, and taunted enemies move 50% faster towards you. The reduced cooldown of Berserker Rage by 15 seconds is new. It didn't do that previously. Previously, it was just, while Berserker Rage is active, you can taunt and they move 50% faster towards you. So, that's good again for 5-mans. I'm not entirely sure what Nighthold holds for us, so we'll see. And Specialization, Focused Rage, looks like nothing really changed for it. Yeah, I can't see anything that changed. Intercept, run at height speeds towards an ally or enemy. While targeting enemy, Intercept will, instead of root for a second and a half, reduce their movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. But it has, everything else, and it's going from generating 10 rage to 15, which is good. So Intercept now deals, or gives you more rage and reduces their movement speed. So it's a little nerf to Intercept. Revenge, it's getting a damage buff from 340% or 340.2% of your damage, or attack power rather, to 440% of your attack power to all enemies in front of you. And looks like your successful dodges and parries cause your next revenge to become free. Instead of that, it's your successful dodges and parries reset the remaining cooldown of revenge up to once per 3 seconds. Cost changed from none to 30 rage, and cooldown changed from 9 seconds to 3 seconds for the cooldown, which is not bad. Overall they're making Revenge the filler now, or they're taking out Focused Rage as what Prot Warriors would use as a filler and making it Revenge, which I kind of like the idea. Let's see how it plays out. Shield Block isn't getting a big change from what I can see. Yeah, it's not really getting a big change at all. Shield Slam. Nothing is changing except this. Devastate, Thunderclap, and Revenge have a 30% chance to reset the cooldown of Shield Slam. So, it's 30% chance. Which, there was like a small chance previously with Devastate, but now it's a solid 30% for Devastate and Thunderclap as well as Revenge. Thunderclap now got a buff in its damage, and it now also generates 5 rage. It's going from 165.4% of your attack power to 330.8% of attack power. And rooting them for a second and reducing their movement speed by 50% for 10 seconds. And it generates 5 rage. So overall, it's amazing. Thunderclap is now going to help us generate more rage when we're tanking. And Revenge is there, again, as a filler instead of using Focused Rage. We can use Focused Rage. Or no, Focused Rage has been... Yeah, Focused Rage is there, just not talented, I believe. I'm not sure, again. I've got no clue what they're doing with Focused Rage. But, yeah, so... Prot's getting a big change. I like the changes. especially with Intercept giving you 15 rage up from 10, and Thunderclap giving you 5 rage, and kind of being now a bigger chunk of our damage. Not just meant kind of for AoE threat, quick snap AoE threat. It's going to be their part of the rotation now, which is good, in my opinion. But let's see, guys, that's pretty much it. Like I said, you can click on the annotation wherever I put it. If you want to check out the full patch notes, or what looks like might be the patch notes, this was on the PTR, so we don't know exactly what's going to be going on. This is just speculation I have, and speculation other people have as well, that whatever was on the PTR is kind of set in stone. I'm saying it's all penciled in. We'll see come Tuesday exactly what happened. So, that's it, guys. Let me know what you think about the changes in the comment section down below. And as always, my name has been Shadowswalm. I'll talk to you all next time.